Coming up on this episode of The Social Hour, Yahoo gets a new look, Twitter's getting hacked all over the place, LivesOn will tweet for you after you're dead, and how not to be Guy Fieri. All that and more next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Audio bandwidth provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Bandwidth for the Social Hour is brought to you by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is The Social Hour with Sarah Lane and Amber MacArthur, episode 99, recorded Friday, February 22nd, 2013. This episode of The Social Hour is brought to you by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/Social Hour. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Social Hour. In fact, it's kind of a special episode because it's episode 99. It's double digits for the last week. From Twit World headquarters in Petaluma, California, I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Amber MacArthur from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I should mention for Canadians and hockey fans who are watching that the number 99, Sarah, you may remember, but this was Wayne Gretzky's number. And he was very famous. So he was often called the Great One, probably still to this day. So hopefully we have a great episode.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know that much about hockey. And I don't really know that much about Wayne Gretzky. But I do know that he was considered, you know, the man. I didn't know his number was 99 though, so I have just learned something.
Yeah, that's about all I know about hockey. So please do not ask me any more questions because that's where I draw the line.
It's your.
I know.
It's your official everything, right?
I know, one would think. But over the years, I think I've really not kept up to date with what's going on in hockey news. But you can't really ever get away from it being Canadian. So you always get little tidbits here and there. So I don't follow it that closely, but I guess it's in our soul.
Yes. Well, hockey. At least hockey's back for those who love it. You know, I don't know what to say either. Wayne Gretzky, here's to you. This episode is dedicated to you, friend.
Exactly.
Hey, so Amber, we have quite a bit of social news. We're not going to go in any particular order here, but I guess we'll start with Yahoo's new homepage. Talked about this on another Twitch show a couple days ago, and it seemed that the reactions are pretty mixed. It's different. It's not that just different. The scheme, the sort of the color scheme and sort of the left-hand rail and the way that the Yahoo properties are arranged. Yeah, it's I don't know, Amber. I mean, I guess to me, I think it's a good thing that Yahoo is iterating, but it doesn't really look very different.
It doesn't look that different. And I think in some ways, most of the changes, at least based on what I've seen, are technical changes that may not be that obvious to the average person because they have it optimized so that it is better viewed on different mobile devices. Social streams are better integrated and some other features as far as social media features. So I feel like, you know, from a visual perspective, it doesn't look all that different. I would totally agree with you on that one. And other than that, I would just say that, you know, I don't spend a lot of time on Yahoo anymore, but I think what they've done here as far as making the mail login a little bit, taking it more front and center and some other things like that, it seems like they're catering to those people who continue to have Yahoo as their homepage, maybe just not us.
Yeah, I agree. It's I think that the issues that I've always had with Yahoo, I really hate the logo. I know at one time it was really cute and there were commercials and whatever. It's just, I think it really, really needs to be, I don't know, glossed up or something. And when I look at this, I think, well, this looks like the homepage of yesteryear a little bit. I know that it has some social functionality. There's a little bit more of, you know, what stories that you like. Do you like this kind of story? Do you want to see more of that kind of story? If you go into the more section and you click on social activity, these are articles that are socially, I don't know, you could call them viral, the stuff that's being read the most. But then you've got some familiar stuff for more of a mainstream audience, right? On the right-hand side, I'm in Petaluma, so I've got my weather, I've got the Yahoo Finance widget here, I've got scores from sports. Of course, if I'm, for whatever reason, not interested in sports, I never have to see that again. I've got I've got, Flickr integration, and it works. It seems fine. And then, of course, you've got your Yahoo properties over here on the left, all of the properties that are most important to them. Yahoo Dating? I didn't even really know that was a thing. But yeah, it's a little lackluster, but I guess baby steps, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I think initially when I saw this headline floating around online, I really wanted them to have done more. You think of them having a new CEO, new leadership, the idea that maybe they do an overhaul that was a little more current. That would be my only criticism. Sometimes when I look at this, and I've looked at it a few times, I think to myself, could this page be online in 1999? And I would say yes. So unfortunately, I feel like they haven't picked up on any current design trends, and would have been neat to see them be a little more risky as far as their design changes. But it seems like you said, they're taking baby steps and trying to kind of roll things out over time. But I don't know. I think for Yahoo, it's it would be fun to see a really dramatic change and improvement there.
I agree. Well, turns out that Facebook is very ageist. It's not only trying to lock out kids that are under the age of 13 from signing up for Facebook accounts, but people over the age of 99 as well, Amber. Is that right?
Yeah, this is an interesting story. So there is a woman who is using Facebook currently, probably one of many who is over 100 years old. In fact, she is 104. On Facebook, though, she has to perpetually be 99 years old because Facebook refuses to acknowledge anyone who is older than that based on the default system they have in place to indicate the year that you were born. So when this particular woman, I think her name is Marguerite Joseph, tries to enter her birth year as 1908, the system automatically doesn't accept it and said she was born much later than that. So I'm not sure why they would do that. I mean, we know, I think with Facebook, there is an older demographic who is using the tool all the time. At one point, it was one of the fastest growing demographics was women 65 and older. And you see more and more grandparents getting onto Facebook. So it could just be an oversight, something that eventually they need to change. Otherwise, if you're over 100, sorry to say that you have to continue to lie about your age and pretend you're younger.
That's so weird. I mean, I understand that that is not where the bulk of the people using Facebook's age group is, but what, I mean, it's did the system just get built for 2 digits? It almost sounds like a Y2K thing where they're like, ooh, we never thought we'd get to this point where people over 99 would want to use Facebook. Now we just they have to be 99 forever. I actually, it had nothing to do with trying to game the system, but just for fun. Sometimes I don't like entering my age on things. I don't know. It's who cares? And at one point I had listed myself as 99 years old on Facebook because I thought it was funny. And I remember going back as far as I could and just picking that year. And so I was 99. But I didn't actually realize, or I didn't think about it, that I wasn't allowed to go to, 102 if I had just wanted to be 102 for whatever reason. I was just trying to, I don't know, screw up my bio. But yeah, I was 99 for a while. Now I'm my normal age, and I don't even remember changing it. So Facebook knows more about me than Facebook wins, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm guessing they're going to change it at some point. I can't see a reason why they wouldn't change it, especially as everybody continues to age and you have more and more people who maybe are over 100 using the service. But kind of an interesting story because we hear all those stories about people who are younger than 13 having to lie on Facebook to go on Facebook because, of course, you cannot join Facebook unless you're over 13 years of age. And it becomes more of an issue with younger people, but kind of fun to see the other side of it and see them potentially discriminating against people who are over 99. So hopefully they make that change and accept all people, Sarah. That's all we can hope for at this point.
And think of all the targeted ads for people over 100 that they're missing out on. I mean, Facebook's all about revenue, right? It's if you're targeting an ad to someone who's 99 and I'm 104, that is totally so 5 years ago. I know, bigger and better.
I feel like those people should be celebrated. Like if you're over 99 and you're on Facebook and you're trying to understand how to use all this technology and talking to family members and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that's awesome. Like maybe they should actually go one step further and give them a special account, something that where they get even more features or more recognition than anyone else. Because it really is, if you look at the numbers, I'm curious how many of those people there would be. But it would be fun to give them, lots of attention.
Yeah, you need some sort of like gold-plated cover photo or something.
Yeah.
I'm 100 and
Yeah.
I'm using Facebook.
Like, I am wise and knowledgeable. You need to listen to me,
That's
people.
right.
It would be super fun. Speaking of people being wise and knowledgeable, Sarah, I have to say that I really wish that I did what this next woman did for our story about people using Vine. This woman in particular used Vine to create her own little, almost like a demo reel. So as Sarah, you would know in TV, you have to have a demo reel, and it's something that helps you get work out there. And she did something pretty fun with this. Hopefully we have the video and we can, here it is. We'll take a look.
Yeah.
Machine Dawn Sith. Journalist, strategist, manager, deadline Jedi, idea machine Dawn Sith. Journalist, strategist, manager, deadline Jedi.
I mean, she's got it all, right?
Yeah, she did. It's fun.
She's yeah, this is great. This is adorable.
It's really cute. I mean, I think more importantly for her that she was one of the first people to do this and get recognition. I mean, it was all over Mashable. I saw it elsewhere. And it really goes to show you when these new tools come out, it may be a good idea if you're looking for work or you're trying to get your name out there that you use these tools to create something awesome before anyone else does, because, it's in the next few months, everybody's going to start doing this, just like they did with Pinterest. Remember the first people to use Pinterest to put their resumes up? That was kind of a new and trendy thing, too.
Yeah. Reverb Mike in that chat says, ugh, gets old quick. Well, that's because it's looping. I mean, you don't want to watch it 100 times, but I think it's a creative use of Vine. It's funny, Amber, I was watching a Twitter conversation back and forth between some people, that I know and that I follow on Twitter. And it started out with a friend of mine saying, you're really asking a lot of me when you just put up a Vine URL and tweet it without any context. It really makes me feel like, okay, this better be good because I'm clicking in not knowing what I'm going to get. And then there was sort of lively debate with some other people chiming in and either saying, yeah, I agree with you. If there's no context, I'm never going to click that. And I started to chime in too, and I realized over the weekend I had posted some Vine link that had no context at all. It was like, I thought it was funny, but it probably didn't really enrich anybody's life. It was like it was a Vine of me and my friends listening to Call Me Maybe in a car. So I don't think anyone really got anything out of it, and there's probably a good amount of people who go, ugh, all right, well, that's, 6 seconds I'll never get back kind of a thing. But this is pretty cool. And yeah, especially if she's kind of looking to, be in, I guess, I don't know exactly what job she's looking for, but some sort of presentation thing, it kind of shows off a little personality.
Yeah, she's just being so creative with it. That's what I loved about it. I just thought, what a neat way to get your name out there. And obviously it worked. I'll be curious. I'll just kind of follow up on what's happened in the story and see if she got any job offers because of that. But a fun use of Vine, and I think definitely something that people should consider doing if they use a new tool and, again, want to get that personal attention online. And also, Sarah, I have to apologize because I don't drink caffeine, and I just had a latte, and I realized, I'm really talking quickly. So
That's
apologies to
fine.
everyone.
Hey, it's we're enthusiastic.
Okay, good.
Wait, so hold on though. You don't drink caffeine, but you just had a latte. What is this, like a special occasion, or was it a mistake?
At Christmas time, when I was in Florida, we got one of those Nespresso machines. I think it's an Nespresso. Oh, Tassimo. Sorry, I shouldn't screw the names up, I guess. A Tassimo, and you have those little capsules where you can make lattes. So I had a lot of downtime when I was there. It was the holidays, and I had quit caffeine for years. And I just started to make lattes because I was sitting around, going to the beach, doing whatever. And then I got totally hooked on it. And now I'm like, why did I ever stop drinking caffeine? Caffeine's amazing.
Yes.
And so in the morning, I'll have a latte. I'll have one later in the afternoon. And then I get so much done. I clean my house. I do so much work. And I'm thinking I've been missing out. So I'm trying to catch up for all those lost years. Hence talking really quick.
Welcome back.
I know. I'm alive,
I am
Sarah.
also part of the caffeine posse.
Wow.
In fact, Ayaz and I were just talking about this, and he goes, do you drink coffee anymore? And I said, only on the weekends. Because it's, I'm sort of with you. It's like, it makes me so happy that I'm like, you know what, this is potentially a little bit dangerous. I can't have all my happiness coming from a cup of coffee. So I'm just gonna make sure that I have my times where I enjoy it on the weekend. During the week, I'm still drinking green tea, so it's just like a little bit more of a mellow thing. But yeah, life without caffeine is,
It's tough.
I don't wanna know.
But you don't get headaches, Sarah, not having coffee during the week at all? Or I guess the
No.
green tea kind of satisfies you.
Green tea has caffeine. It has less per cup, but it's like, if I drink, so tomorrow's Saturday, I will have 1 cup of coffee. Today, this morning, I had 3 cups of green tea. So it all kind of works itself out.
Yeah, it makes sense. I remember Leo and I used to eat a lot of chocolate when we worked together. And literally by like Friday of shooting, we would just start eating like chocolate bars. And you're on air and you're just like, I'm like practically sweating to death because I've had too much chocolate and coffee. And oh my gosh, it's good. But there's definitely a downside.
Yeah, I know. Why does there have to be a downside? You know, sugar and caffeine. We should just be able to keep going.
I agree.
Speaking of going and going, Burger King Twitter account has historically been not that interesting. And the only reason I even paid attention to Burger King Twitter account is because earlier this week, it was hacked by some tricksters who pretended that it was McDonald's, that Burger King had been sold to, and McDonald's had kind of gone sassy about the whole thing. And it was pretty entertaining, Amber, I have to say.
Yeah, it was totally entertaining. And the hacking continued, though, Sarah. I think we're hearing more and more stories about this, particularly with Twitter. Then the Jeep Twitter account got hacked as well. A lot of news headlines about both of these stories. And then just to top it off, Donald Trump's Twitter account was also recently hacked. I think they made it look like it was taken over by, am I right in saying Little Wayne, perhaps?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yes. So basically, I cannot repeat what it said on that most recent tweet. Let's try another one. I guess he announces later on that he realized his Twitter account has been seriously hacked. And the funniest thing was all of the tweets in response, at least to Trump, that said that, hey, first time I'm actually enjoying his tweets because a lot of people obviously not agreeing necessarily with his politics. But yeah, it just seems like this is an ongoing story and it's getting worse and worse for some people and brands.
Well, you know, I know that some people say, well, Twitter just needs two-factor authentication. That would certainly cut down on some of this stuff. And then other people saying, well, you know, that would be better, but it's, you know, there's an API issue overall. And, you know, I'm not exactly sure what the answer is. I think that it's easy for us to chuckle when something like a brand gets hacked, because it's like Burger King. You know, it's a huge company. They make a lot of money. They're not really in the business of social. It sounds like it took sort of a while for Burger King to, first of all, take the account down, even though it was blowing up. This was Monday, so at least in the U.S., well, it was a holiday in Canada as well.
Yep.
A lot of people were kind of home, maybe paying a little bit more attention than they usually would, but maybe some of the social media team for Burger King was not, you know, on their game on Monday like they might have been. But then, yeah, and then you've got Jeep, where it's like, okay, that's another brand. And then you've got Donald Trump, who, yes, I think for a lot of people, he's an easy target because he tries to push buttons online. You know, whether you agree with him or not, he's trying to be, he's sort of, you know, that's his thing, right? He's a polarizing figure. So that's all great. I mean, I don't want to get hacked. I wouldn't think that's funny at all. And I'd try to, you know, take all the steps I could to make sure that I didn't. But this stuff happens.
It does. And the interesting thing, at least in this Mashable article, just reading about all of the different accounts that got hacked this past week, was the comment and what had happened between MTV and BET, saying that they pretended to hack each other's accounts as a publicity stunt. So it's almost like, you know, it's become so popular and such a great traffic driver that you even have big brands out there pretending to get hacked just to get attention. So I don't know where all it's going.
Did it come out that MTV and BET were just faking it?
That's what it says in the Mashable article. It says the hacking had been getting so much attention that MTV and BET pretended to hack each other's accounts as a publicity stunt.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's pathetic.
I know. It's like, I mean, it's like turning it into a joke, which obviously could be a very serious issue for so many different people. And it's just getting harder and harder for individuals to protect themselves. Because I don't know how you feel, Sarah, but I think when people think about hacking, they think about their email getting hacked and they'll never be a target. But they don't really think about the social networking element. They feel like they're somehow safe on different social networks. But obviously, as we've seen in the past, all of these networks have their issues and you need to be careful.
Yeah, that's very true. Got to be careful. As somebody said in chat, social media does not take the day off. Brand managers should always be watching.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I remember the sort of the head of communication for Burger King. Don't remember the gentleman's name, but he had when Burger King kind of released a statement saying, "We're so sorry. We were hacked. We didn't say some of these terrible things that, you know, our account makes it appear like we said." He said something along the lines of, you know, our social media teams and the hacking enforcement team at Twitter have been working tirelessly together. And it was like, I mean, how many people are we talking about here? You know, I mean, if you've got multiple teams for Burger King doing social media and this happens, it doesn't make
Crazy.
you look very competent.
I know. And then you have the people who are pretending that their accounts get hacked because they've said something stupid. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the new BlackBerry phone, and I thought it's kind of interesting. They appointed Alicia Keys, but, you know, with her talking about how she had sent out a message and it said that she had posted on an iPhone after she had taken the appointment, and she said her account was hacked. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Right.
It's just that story's getting old, too.
I agree. Come on, everybody. Just play by the rules, right? It's the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, do the right thing. Okay, so that's some of the news from the week. We still have social tips. We've got a spotlight. We've got a lot of viewer feedback from all of you. But a quick reminder, Amber and I record the Social Hour live every Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. We love having you join us live. It's really fun. You're tweeting at us, you're talking to us in chat. I'm pointing at our chat window. But if you can't watch us live, we are on demand as well. In fact, the bulk of you don't watch us live, you watch us on demand. And that's great because that way you can watch or listen however you like. twit.tv/TSH is our website. If you ever want to subscribe to the show, if you haven't already, we've got handy links there. All of our past episodes, plus links to all the stories we talk about and the services that we cover, and even the video of each show. That's all at twit.tv/TSH. So everything's there. We try to make it as easy for you as possible to not miss a show. So thanks to everybody who watches us every week. And of course, when you have feedback for us, you can email us. Well, you can get a hold of us a lot of different ways, but our email address is thesocialhour@twit.tv. All right, let's take a moment to thank Audible.com for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Amber, I'm very excited because I just got a new fancy car.
I know. I
Well,
saw pictures of it.
It's really not that fancy, but to me, I've never owned a new car before, so it's all very exciting. And I'm excited because I've got a really nice stereo system. It's almost the only thing I cared about on the inside. You know, I wanted everything to sound good. And my audiobooks are going to sound better than ever because now with my Audible iPhone app and Bluetooth connectivity to my stereo, I'm going to be listening to books all the time coming to and from work because I spend a lot of time in my car. That's the cool thing about Audible. Audible has over 100,000 titles. Think about that. More than 100,000 books at your disposal. Fiction, nonfiction, funny stuff, poignant nonfiction stuff that's read by authors. The options are endless. And you know, you've got your web Audible, you've got Audible that's available now on the iPad, by the way. It just came out. The iPad app is like 2 days old. It looks really nice. iPhone app as well. Of course, I'm an iOS person, but you can get Audible on an Android device as well. And it's neat. You search around, you find the book that you're interested in, and then what's cool is that before you even commit, you can see how long it's going to take. You know, the book's 13 hours long. You might go like, okay, about to do a little cross-country trip. That'll get me through something, or I can spend about an hour a day. It's going to take me about 2 weeks with my commute. Or if you take long walks, or you go to the gym, or you just find yourself busy enough to not be sitting down reading books all day, it's a lot of fun. You know, Game of Thrones season 3 is about to come out. This might be the time to get caught up on George R.R. Martin's series. By the way, I've heard from everyone who has done the Song of Ice and Fire series, at least as far as the ones that are available up until now via Audible, that it's awesome. It's almost better than reading it just because it's one of those fantasy books that's really neat being read to you. So here's the deal. If you go to audiblepodcast.com/social hour, so we got a little bit of like a gift for you here. What you do is you can try Audible out free for 30 days, and you can choose a book of your choice to be yours forever. At the end of the 30 days, you can go ahead and sign up for an account, but if you decide not to start an account, you still get to keep that free book. So it's absolutely no reason not to give it a go, because you get a book that you download forever and ever. And again, you've got those free 30 days. So if you've got some time to be listening to some audiobooks, now is your chance. I promise you will be hooked. Listen to, Leo Laporte sometime. He's got like 700 books in his collection because he's been using Audible for a really long time. So thanks again to Audible for sponsoring this episode of The Social Hour. Again, audiblepodcast.com/social hour. All right, Amber, what about this social tip of yours this week?
Okay, so this one's a little bit different. However, I think it's very important, especially for people who are going into business and are buying their own domain names and want to make sure that they have all of their bases covered. And basically, what I mean by that is you can make a mistake sometimes thinking that maybe you only need one domain. You may want to think about variations of that domain so that you buy up anything that other people could potentially squat on or do something funny, like was done with this particular well-known TV personality who's a chef. He has his own show on the Food Network. Is it Guy Fieri? Is that how you pronounce it, Sarah?
Fieri, yep.
Fieri. And basically what happened, I guess he owns a bunch of restaurants in California, and he had created a website for his restaurants, or for one of his restaurants, and unfortunately he didn't actually buy the domain for the full name of the restaurant, which he bought guysamerican.com, and he did not buy guysamericankitchenandbar.com, which is actually the official title. And a few creative people, I think there were 4 of them total, they went on and they created sort of a spoof menu for that restaurant, and put up their own version of what the items on that menu may include, and some kind of funny stuff.
Oh my gosh, I have to read in the entree section, the Reno. It's $26.50, and you get popcorn, crusted popcorn chicken stuffed inside Guy's nothing fancy meatloaf, and super banged in a volcano of Tabasco butter. We pour it into lucite heel, smother it with our own special jalapeno sugar brew, and set it on your lap on a neon sign. Serve drunk and on fire. Add a Cinnabon or 2 more Cinnabons for $4.95.
It's too funny.
The thing about Guy Fieri, too, is, Amber, I don't know how familiar you are with him, but his persona is very, I'm sort of down home using, American ingredients,
okay.
and goes over the top. And yeah, that's, it's what he looks like. And people make fun of him. And they recently opened this particular restaurant in the Times Square area in New York, and it got a really nasty review from a New York Times reporter or a food critic who was just like, this is the worst restaurant in the world. Like, how's this guy doing this? So again, kind of an easy target, but at the same time, it's a very good lesson for anybody who might not think of anyone spoofing your domain and legitimately confusing people.
Yeah, just hilarious. I mean, even if you look at the menu these folks created, and you have the side salad called the Olive Garden at $15.90, and it includes 22 pounds of wine-stunned olives tumbled over chopped iceberg lettuce and served family style, ranch hose optional, but recommended. So they just have a blast with writing up all of these really creative dishes. And again, though, I think at the end of the day, it is a lesson. I mean, when you are buying a domain name, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Sarah, but like back when people started getting their own websites, a lot of people would buy things like, if I were to buy Amber Mac, I would also get ambermacksucks.com and anything that, went along with the name, just to make sure no one else could squat and be able to do anything with that. So I just think the lesson continues to apply.
I do too. Gosh, that's actually really smart. I never thought to do anything like that. Sarah Lane sucks. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know.
You just don't even want to go there, right? But especially for brands, right? Like, not as important maybe for individuals, and of course it's going to cost more money. But I think for anyone, who has a professional reputation to keep up, you want to make sure, like, you may have to buy 4 or 5 different domains. I've had to do it in the past, and you don't have to necessarily put anything up there, just redirect them.
Right.
But that would be our social media tip for the day.
Absolutely, yeah. It's don't be Guy Fieri, okay?
No.
Just, you can do better. You can do better.
You can
everybody.
do better. You can.
So the spotlight of the week, we're kind of channeling the dead here, but it could be a positive thing.
Yes, we could be. And I think this perhaps is getting the most attention because of the sentence that keeps floating around attached to this app that's coming out called LivesOn. They say when your heart stops beating, you'll keep tweeting. And the idea behind it is this app will help you continue to post your Twitter account even after you've passed away. So it is like the digital afterlife, and you will appoint someone who is in charge of your Twitter account and can kind of monitor it. But these tweets would be automated based on the language and the types of messages that you sent out while you were alive. So basically, the app kind of learns your personality and keeps it alive and well online for your friends who are probably going to be creeped out.
But the artificial intelligence engine that LivesOn uses, I mean, do you really want a robot to try to get your voice right after you're already deceased? I mean, maybe if you're dead, it doesn't matter. But
I don't know.
But you get a couple words wrong, and all of a sudden your family and friends are like, no, it's not like Sarah's still here. It's like Sarah has turned into like some sort of a weird cyborg.
Yeah, you have to be a pretty open person with a strange sense of humor to want to use something like this. This is the only thing that I can figure out, is that you have to, want to have kind of literally the last laugh and do something like this. So I'm not sure how popular it will be, but I think, we keep hearing about these different tools like this, and it kind of brings up that question over and over again is, what happens with your social media accounts, like your Facebook account, your Twitter account, and what do you do with all of those when you've passed away? Do you will them to someone else? And it's going to continue to be a growing question whether you use an app like this or not.
Yeah, I agree. Dead Social is another Twitter service where you could arrange to have your tweets prepared, maybe for, I don't know, like a year or something like that. I mean,
Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
It couldn't go forever, right? I mean, that doesn't really work that way. So maybe that's why the artificial intelligence thing is good, but it seems like you start to sort of say the same thing over and over, like, hey, we're live on the social hour. And people would be like, no, you're not.
And it's not like you want to test it out. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like you're ever going to really know what it's like. And I mean, the whole premise of it is just weird.
Hey, a family member, let me know if LivesOn does well. Yeah. So I can figure out whether to cancel my accounts.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. But I don't know if you feel this. Like, I know because you have your iPad show and you cover a lot of iPhone apps as well, that more and more I'm finding, because I also cover a lot of the apps, and I feel like it's so saturated in that market right now that you almost have to create an app that is just so weird and bizarre to get any attention anymore, because the reality is that, everybody's done it already.
Everybody's done it, and there are so many copycat apps.
Copycats, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out? You got to do something like really strange and something that's going to grab headlines and maybe get you recognized as an app developer, and then maybe you can build the app you actually want to build.
I think that's exactly what's going on with this.
It's just bizarre, right?
I don't think this is actually something that people say, this is a game changer. It's really going to help people who are deceased, and it's really going to help the folks that they leave behind. This is a bit of a publicity stunt, and maybe if it's done well, then yeah, it's almost like you've made a big splash.
Exactly. It's like that. I remember that. Was it a Burger King campaign years ago on Facebook where they came up with this campaign where you basically had to ditch 10 friends to get a free Whopper or something like that? It's all about the attention grabbing moves in the space, and that was definitely one of them as well.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I would actually, if anybody has, if anyone knows of an account that is using LivesOn that's kind of cool, I mean, let us know, because here we are saying, it's a weird idea, but for the right people, it might work out well. All right, we've got some viewer feedback to get to now. A few emails here. One from Jack. This is actually he has sort of a social question, but then before the social question, he has some personal questions for us. So he says 2 questions. The first one, Sarah, you mentioned a certain brand of ice cream sandwich that you loved. Maybe they deliver. I can't remember. The sandwich was only available in San Francisco. And I was wondering if you remembered what it was. Yes, Jack, it's called an It's It. It's not necessarily just available in San Francisco, but that's where it's made. And it's very easy to find at every corner store here in San Francisco. Just really hard to find in certain other parts of the country and probably the world. But that's what it's called. It's It. Itsit.com. Best ice cream sandwich ever. And then Jack says, also Amber mentioned finding out how many calories are in blizzards from DQ and putting that number on her refrigerator to remind her not to ever get blizzards. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I actually don't remember mentioning that.
I don't either. I mean,
I know.
Maybe it was on a different show a long time ago?
No, I mean, I guess I would mention it. I mean, that actually did happen. My friend and I would get blizzards all the time. And then I think we looked it up online. We went to Dairy Queen's menu, their nutritional menu on the web, and we found out literally, I mean, some of the blizzards can have in excess of 1,000 calories. And it's not that I'm I don't watch every single thing I eat, but I knew if you eat a few of those a week, it's not helping the situation. Because they put, not only do they put ice cream in, but then they put in all of the candy, and then they put in chocolate syrup. They really piled on, which is why it tastes so amazing. But But we had to stop eating them, so that's the end of that story.
Okay, so Jack has more of a social question. Says regarding episode 98, so that was last week. I love Winston. That was the app that I showed off. That was the nice British robot man that read you news synopses. Says I love Winston because I often can't read news and I like to listen like a podcast. But I would love it even more if I could send in an article and have a real person read it and then send me back that file. I'd pay a lot of money for the service because it would be like a podcast just for me. Jack, this has got to be something that's in use already. In fact, it sounds familiar to me, and maybe I'm just making it up because it seems like a good idea, but you know, having a celebrity that reads you the news, and you can, the problem is that if there was somebody that read you your articles, then, I mean, they don't know what articles you're going to choose, so they sort of have to be on call, and then they have to read everything, and then they have to send you a file, and the way that the news works these days, how could you be so sure that the news that you were listening to, because, I mean, I would think even if somebody was really on it, there's probably a churn of about an hour or something, then what if you're getting outdated news?
Yeah, that's the problem. But I think people would pay for that. It reminds me of an app I recently saw. I think it's an iOS app from William Shatner that allows you to write your own poetry, I think, and then you can get him to read it back to you.
That's right.
A lot of people love that, right?
Yes, but that is done because he's, you know, pre-recorded a bunch of words.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's, you know, reading exactly what you wrote, but it's not as if he's just sitting there waiting for you to go like, please submit, you know, and then I'd read your stuff. So Jack, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you could somehow get somebody to read like every word in the dictionary, that's crazy, but it could be done. And then the inflections would still be strange though. It wouldn't be like the person, you know, it just, I don't know how you do that.
It's still going to be robotic. I mean, I think you kind of hit a point there. It's not going to sound natural at all, and that could become more of the issue unless they could figure out a way to do it, you know, maybe with some of the major newscasters, for example, where they have a lot of recording of them speaking, and we're able to, you know, over the years eventually make it sound better so they could read news articles to you. I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but I feel like it's maybe reserved for like B-list celebrities to figure out.
Right, yeah.
I can't see anyone
Charlie
spending
Sheen
a whole lot of
reads
time
the
doing it.
news.
Yeah,
I don't
pretty
even know
much
if you
like
call
that.
him B-list, but you know, that's who came to mind.
He's a tiger, Sarah. Tiger blood.
Tiger blood. Got it. He still got it. You know, okay, this is totally off topic, Amber, but it does reference a picture I took on Instagram, and that is social. But I was waiting for a friend at a bar the other night, and they were playing Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you know, sort of like on a big wall with a projector. And I was like, oh yeah, gosh, it's been so long since I've seen this movie. And I forgot that Charlie Sheen has a great scene at the jail.
Oh,
it's one of the first times anyone ever saw him. He's really young. He's really funny. Anyway, so there you go. Instagram, bring it all back. Social.
I saw that picture, I have to say. I feel like there's so many of those moments in my life where my friends are like, so anyway, the other day I was doing this, and I'm like, and they'd start telling me, and I'm like, I don't want to interrupt and say that I saw that on Twitter already, but it's like nothing's new anymore.
Oh, I do. I have one particular friend who will go unnamed, but he's always like, so the other day, and I'm like, and I'll finish the sentence, and he'll be like, yeah.
You're like, done. Yeah,
and I'll go, yeah, you already told me online. And he'd be like, oh, yeah. But then there was just, but I know.
I know.
I've seen
all
this.
Everything.
I mean, tell me again, but I do know how this all ends. It's all fine.
The downside of social.
Got another email from Paolo, who actually emailed us a link to a former Social Hour Spotlight company we had spotlighted called Memo Lane, to let us know that Memo Lane is actually shutting down. Memo Lane was this great service that would allow you to hook up your Twitter feed, Foursquare updates, Facebook, this and that, stuff that was time-stamped, and present it to you in a date format so that you could go back a few months, for example, and be like, oh, what did I do on April 11th of last year? I can't possibly remember. And then you could see the little snippets of, you know, breadcrumbs that you'd left for yourself online. I really liked Memo Lane a lot. It was at the time really the only way to go back and even, you know, read some of my old tweets, that sort of thing. Memo Lane has shut down, and they're kind of vague about why. They said that they've been acquired by another company, but they don't say who. And this was, I actually, because I was a Memo Lane user and I had an account. I was also, I got an email in the mail as well. I guess Paolo did too. And it was sort of like, you have until February 22nd to download your data, which is like, that, only gives people a day. And it's sort of weird, but at the same time, I guess maybe there wasn't enough interest, especially since, a company like Twitter, which now lets you download all of your tweets, and Facebook's got more of that timeline functionality, kind of put something like Memo Lane out of business because these tools go internal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I feel like things are just kind of folding more quickly than they ever have before. These little services, like there's a shorter amount of time to make them really successful, and then they just kind of go away. So like the lifespan for any type of web tool or app that doesn't do well, it's pretty short. So it's hard for a user to invest that much time in it. And I think we've kind of hit on that time and time again. Just how comfortable are you? Like I get all of these emails where, signed up for services that I don't even remember signing up for. And I don't know, there's only a few I keep using today.
Yeah, me too. Somebody in chat said, well, what about Time Hop? It's basically the same service. And you're right. Time Hop is actually an app I like a lot, which shows you what you did on this day 1 year ago or 2 years ago, if there is any data from there. And it's gotten a bit of attention, and it's nice. But that's actually something that the Memo Lane folks even point to. They said Time Hop, and there was another service that they threw out there like, hey, if you liked the kind of services that Memo Lane offered, you might want to check out a couple of these other companies. So it doesn't sound like Memo Lane, if the team really did get bought by another company, it doesn't sound like they're still going to be in this business, or they wouldn't be directing you to their competitors. I hope that the team is on to bigger and better things, though.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we love getting all of your videos. I think that's one of my favorite parts of the show, when someone actually does a little video for us and shares something we don't know about, a social media tip, something they've built. It's always so fun, especially when they're from all different parts of the world. This week, we have a video from someone who's written into the show before, from Steve Garfield, very well known as one of the podcasters from the early days of podcasting, and I have not seen the video yet, Sarah. So
yeah, he's got some social video tips for us.
Oh, hey everybody, this is Steve Garfield from stevegarfield.tv, and I want to take a moment to talk to you about social video, as opposed to scripted video where someone stands there and reads something, and that almost put me to sleep. Social video is when I'm talking directly to the camera, to the viewer. I could just pinch your little face. And you get to really know what the other person's like because you're addressing the camera directly. When you watch TV, what we're used to is people doing interviews and looking to the side, and they're talking to a third person. That's not social. On TV, the only people that can look directly into the camera are reporters or the President of the United States. So, get social. And when you do social TV, it's more personal. And then the social part of it, in addition to you making a connection with the viewer, is that it can be shared. This is Steve Garfield from stevegarfield.tv.
What do you think, Amber? I have mixed feelings. I know exactly what Steve is saying. But, and this is a bit of like you and I are talking to each other, but we're both looking at the camera, and I think we're addressing the audience as a whole the whole time we're talking to each other. So our setup maybe is not so traditional, but I think I get what Steve is saying, that there is a dynamic quality of talking to the collective view that you don't get if, you and I are talking to each other and someone's watching us as if they're looking in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that particularly his point about having any type of script or prompter in front of you, my feeling has been just over the years, especially of doing both kind of online video and traditional television, that I've kind of backed away from wanting to use a prompter in almost every situation where I'm shooting something. It is that much more natural. And I think that kind of feeling comes more from the web. And I do appreciate that aspect of it, just not necessarily reading something, because it just, as much as you try to get it to translate, unless you're really, really good and you're a professional at it, you can just tell someone is reading. So I think if you're getting into producing web videos, it's some good advice to, try to speak in a more natural voice without using a script. You could have a script kind of on the side just to remind you of what you want to say, but I think that on the web, it translates better if you are more natural.
I think so too. It's much more challenging to to be
It is.
to not have a script, having done both quite a bit. And I still actually, I use a script for I5 because it keeps me just on target, so I don't do a lot of ums and what am I going to do next, and that sort of thing. But I've also, I feel like I've had a lot of practice knowing what I would say normally anyway and writing for myself, but that's a whole nother skill. So yeah, this is tough because we're, off the cuff. So that is something that is a skill to be honed
Takes
if you
time.
want to get into web video.
I think the problem is too, when you see people who are producing their own web videos, let's say they just started working in social media for a brand and they're putting videos online and they are reading the script, like you have this tendency to like never blink. I was just talking to someone about this today where you're like reading, you're like very robotic, and it just, I think in the online space, it just doesn't translate as well. So it's good to just, keep practicing and try to get away from that. But it does take time. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, it takes time, and there's, the beauty of it is that this is the sort of format that didn't used to work in TV, and now with the web, you can do whatever you want. So
yeah.
I do think there's really no right or wrong. It's just figuring out what you're good at and how you can engage with your audience and what people seem to respond to, what they like.
Exactly. Yeah, good advice. So keep sending those videos, guys and gals, and let us know any social tips that you have. Sarah and I can't cover it all alone.
Absolutely, yeah. You can write us at The Social Hour at twit.tv. You could leave us a voicemail as well. 2626-SOCIAL. 2626 SOCIAL is our Google voicemail inbox. Or as Steve did, record a video. He threw it up on YouTube. It was very easy for us to pop into the show. That's the easiest way for you to be able to talk to us and us see you back and talk to the camera. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, Steve. It's always nice to hear from you. And now, Amber, we're coming up on the end of our hour, but we wouldn't end the show without a rad or fad.
Oh, we would not. So for our Rad or Fad this week, there are more and more different gadgets and pieces of technology that help you with your fitness and your diet and keeping on track from a healthy perspective. Most of those gadgets are external gadgets. There's things like the Nike Fuel Band, for example, and other things you kind of wear on your body or apps that you put on your phone to get a sense of how well you're working out. Well, I recently stumbled across this on shinyshiny.tv. I got a lot of Rad or Fads from this particular site, and this is a video from Under Armour that they put out. They make athletic wear, and they're kind of hinting at this idea that the future as far as technology for fitness and working out will be wearable touchscreen tech. So within this video, as I think it's later on in the video, they get to the point where they show a person who is wearing a shirt, and basically in that shirt, you see what is a bunch of just kind of screens that are almost like built into the shirt. It's integrated into what she's wearing. This particular woman, we have it here, and it's all about wearable technology, not an external gadget. It's kind of cool.
It's cool. It's definitely cool, but I just feel like there's been so much of this. I know that we're getting closer all the time to this being a reality. I mean, wearable technology is we've got products that exist right now, and the idea that you could actually wear something that's, I mean, it's almost like a wetsuit. I mean, it's like a second skin that would have, I don't know, maybe a heart rate monitor and a watch and maybe music and all of that stuff on a tightly fitting shirt that you're wearing as you're running down the street. That, I guess that appeals to me. It seems so futuristic. It seems so far away, as far as that actually being something that I could go buy. I don't know. It's like I say I don't know if I want that, but maybe that's just because I haven't tried it.
Maybe it's more for extreme athletes, though. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm just kind of happy when I have enough energy to make it to the gym for like half an hour. Yeah. I don't really need to see all of these different stats in my shirt. And then I always wonder, why is this happening with fitness wear? Because the reality is, don't you want to be able to wash all of those things? And how do you wash it then if it has this technology built into it? So it brings out a whole bunch of other questions. I think it's kind of that cool factor. It's like, wow, isn't that interesting? It's like when you first saw like people getting camera implants in their eyes. I mean, not that this has happened to a lot of people, but it's like that cyborg type technology. It's more of a wow factor than a practical factor.
I think I'm still trying to wrap my head around, Google Glasses. We've heard so much about Google Glasses lately, and I'm very interested in it. And I've been a bit of a naysayer just because I'm like, they look weird, and it's just, it's on your face, and you've got this information, and just like, do you really want that? And I think, honestly, this is just one of those things where, in not too distant of a future, people will be using this in some form, and there'll be a lot of different companies, and it'll be normal. The way that, the idea of us all carrying around little computers that we call smartphones, in our pockets or our purses or whatever, was very, very foreign not that long ago either. So it's like, it all sounds crazy right now. But yeah, it's like, do you wash the sweat and how does that all work? It's like, that all has to be figured out, and then one day we'll all laugh and say, remember when we used to have to strap things around our arms with Velcro?
I know. It seems like I think with a lot of these companies that are trying to innovate, it feels like they're kind of pushing the boundaries, right? Like they're going as far out as they possibly can to something that is just maybe not that practical for the average consumer, but then they have to kind of step back a little bit and make it practical. So that's what I think with this particular technology is that's sort of where they're at right now. Like, this is for the extreme athlete and something that no one else has ever done. And then they'll have to scale it back to make it actually applicable. And I think more importantly, some of these things, you're just not going to use them all the time. Like I'm sure when 3D glasses first came out, the idea like as if I'm going to sit in a theater and wear these glasses, right? It might have seemed kind of silly, but you see how amazing they can be in the movies and all those type of things. But it's a contextual thing. It depends. You may use it just at some point, but not all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Amber, I think that the two of us are calling it rad, but
yeah, it's rad.
It's rad. Yeah, there's nothing not rad about it. It's just. It's a little conceptual, and maybe just for certain people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Olympic
kind of rad.
athletes, they're all over this.
It's rad in like a Star Trek kind of way, like futuristic technology, right? It's like, it's not, we're not going to be using it right away, obviously.
Exactly.
It's still kind of rad.
Yeah, no, it's definitely rad. Under Armour, good for you. It's a cool commercial. Definitely gives you a sense of the future there. Somebody mentioned Total Recall in chat. It's like, yeah, it's kind of what it reminds me of.
I like that.
Futuristic movie. Well, that is it for this episode of The Social Hour. We're actually in under the hour, which does not happen that often, Amber, even though we're usually pretty close. It's like the Price is Right. We've gotten just under the hour without going over. So
amazing.
Reminder to everybody that we're live on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific. Every once in a while, we record at funny times, but Friday afternoons that's our time. I had a good time this week, Amber. I hope you did as well.
I did. Everybody, thanks for watching, and make sure to send us your videos and links and anything else we should include in the show. And until next time, we'll see you next week.
See you soon, everybody. Have a great weekend.